one time for the fix, y'all. I'm very honored to have my next guest come out. He is partners of Sindel and Noble. Give it up for Travis Noble, everybody. Travis Noble, everybody. Oh man, I love those red socks, bruh. Those are dope. I love them. Man,
every day.
I gotta be honest. It's truly an honor to have you here because I mean, I watch you on Facebook. I see what you do. You got nice cars. You got nice things. You got beautiful women around you. Beautiful cars. Nice money. Nice suits. And I guess I always wonder like who do I have to kill to be you?
Me.
Oh, I'll take that. Okay. So what is your address? When do you go to sleep?
I never sleep.
Exactly. That's the whole trick of being as successful as you are, right?
A lot of luck.
A lot of luck.
Surround yourself with good people.
Oh, that's what's up. That's what's up. So tell me, what got you started in the whole, I mean, I know becoming a lawyer and all that stuff, but how did you become who you are today? I know that's pretty like a heavy question, but I always ask every person that is as successful as you are. You just gotta have to ask people like, what's the origin? What was the tipping point? What got them going?
I grew up very, very poor, and my
Really?
parents were.
Are you from St. Louis?
No, I grew up in the D.C. area originally. My father worked at a Denny's. My mother waited tables on Pizza Hut, and I grew up broke. And I remember I went to college and joined the police department. And my first year as a police officer, I made $11,000 and thought I was the richest person I ever met. And I worked and did that for about 5 years. And then became a drug agent, did that for about 5 years. Oh, wow. And then decided I wanted to try cases. I watched, prosecutors take our cases that we put together, these drug cases, and they put them together, then they would hand the case off to them. Then all of a sudden, it wasn't my case anymore. I was just a witness in their case. And I thought, I could try cases. I could do that. I could get in front of a jury. So I really wanted to get in front of a jury and tell my story and see if I could get these people to kind of come with me on my journey and tell them my story and see if they believe my story versus the government story. And so I really was just addicted and wanted to try cases. And so I moved to St. Louis to go to law school, came to SLU, and started with then Sindel and Sindel. They made me a job offer. Initially, I said no. I said, I'm going back to the East Coast. So they said, well, if you stay, we'll let you try cases. They said, we got a case that's set to go to trial 2 weeks after you get your bar number. So they said, you'll have a jury trial case 2 weeks out of law school. They said, you can't win the case. It's easy. This guy's 5th DWI and ran over a motorcycle police officer. Go try it. Have fun with it. You can't win it. So I went and tried it, and the jury found him not guilty. And so I was addicted. And people always say, well, how do you represent people who commit crimes?
Right.
And the truth is, it's usually a lot of good people do stupid things. And so you're trying to help them through kind of that difficult time.
That's what's up. Wow. Okay. That's a very good response to a very heavy-handed question. It's like I wonder who was the lawyer for OJ? Wow. Somebody else said it. OJ. Johnny Cochran. It's like how do you respond to that? It's like it's a heavy question. What's like the heaviest? What is the heaviest case you've ever had to deal with, if you mind me asking, or if you're even allowed to talk about it?
Well,
that is.
I'm in the middle of a federal kidnapping case now. That's pretty difficult.
Yeah. So, what's up with that, man? I mean, okay, I'm just gonna say it. If you don't mind, well-to-do guy, millions of dollars in the bank. Why?
That's a good question.
Is he your client?
He is. He is.
Snap.
I currently represent him right now in that case. We're still kind of looking at everything and trying to put it together to figure out kind of, what actually happened, what the truth really is.
Right.
You always have the government's theory, and then you've got initially what your client tells you, and then it usually kind of falls somewhere in the middle
Right.
as to where it is. But it's a case that it's still early on. They just indicted them. We just received all the discovery in the mail and delivered to our office. So we're going to be going through that now and taking a look to see what we can do.
In that kind of situation, it's so hard. Like, how can you defend someone that is clearly, or something, or a situation that clearly points to guilty, or clearly points to a situation where a person is not in the right?
Right.
You know, how do you kind of make that work out in your own mind to make you keep going? You know?
Truth is, you know, my 2 daughters came to me and said, "Dad, are you representing a kidnapper?" They saw me on the news.
Yeah.
And I said, "Yes, I am, actually." And, you know, I sit down and kind of use this teachable moment to explain to them,
Yeah.
you know, in our system, if the government's going to accuse you of a crime and point the finger at you and say you did something,
Right.
that everybody has a right to defend themselves and have a right to have their day in court. And
Innocent until proven guilty. Right.
And truthfully, what I do, what all criminal defense lawyers do, is really fight for their clients to make sure that the system works. You know, sometimes people ask me, "What do you do?" And I say, "I'm in law enforcement." You know, my job is to make sure that the police and the prosecutors do what they're supposed to do.
Right.
Because if we're going to give police officers and prosecutors the kind of power that we as citizens bestow upon them to then pass judgment and be able to charge us with crimes and maybe lock you in a cage and
Right.
put you in jail, then they've got to do it right. And if they don't do it right, then that's where I come in. And it really is to make sure that the system works. And a lot of it has to do with, you know, wanting to win, truthfully. And,
Right.
you know, I speak at a lot of high schools, and I'll say to these kids, you know, the prosecutor's job is to do justice. You know, they've got to get in there, and they've got to try and make sure justice is done.
Right.
And so if a prosecutor finds out halfway through a case that my client didn't commit the crime, they're obligated to then stand up and say, "Hey, it's not that guy, it's somebody else," and dismiss the case.
Right.
My job is to win. My job is to make sure the government does and proves what it is they're alleging. So if halfway through a trial, my client leans over and whispers in my ear and says, "I did it," I whisper back, "I don't care." Because my position is I'm going to keep fighting the government to make sure that they have to prove the case. Because to make sure that if I go to sleep at night, I know that if someone goes to jail or prison, I did everything I could do.
Well, I mean, but then that goes, that's the ongoing question, I guess. How does one go to sleep at night? If one was to turn it over and go, "Yeah, it was me, it was, you know, I was covered in blood and this happened and blah, blah, blah." Like, how does one move on? I understand, like, the money's great and the cars are great and all that stuff, but how does one live with oneself knowing that, yeah, well, you know, he did really do it. Yeah, I did win that. So in a way, it's like the system didn't really do it justice.
Well, it did and didn't. You know, I tried to, probably one of the most notorious cases was a DWI case down in Cape Girardeau.
Yeah.
The guy's 12th DWI. And
12th?
12th DWI. He'd been to prison twice for DWI. His license was revoked for life.
Wow.
And he's leaving a bar down in Cape Girardeau. He sees a police officer sitting across the street, so he decided to sneak out the back of the bar. Problem was, there wasn't an exit out of the back of the bar. There was a parking lot, a 3-foot retaining wall. He drove his pickup truck off a retaining wall into somebody's backyard. He then drove through the yard, out the street, started driving home. Police officer sees the whole thing, gets behind him, turns on his lights, follows him 7 miles home. He pulls in his driveway, falls out of his pickup truck. He urinated in his pants. They had to carry him to the police car, took him to the sheriff's department. He blew a .236 into a breath test machine.
Holy cow.
Those are what we call bad facts. And
Yeah, those are really bad. Those are guilty facts. I don't know.
the prosecutor says our plea bargain offer rate is 15 years. Because of his priors, they pled him up in such a way that his range of punishment was 5 to 30 years. Prosecutor says if he doesn't take the 15 years, we're going to give him 30 years. And the judge says, "Go tell him if he doesn't take the 15, we'll give him 30. So I take the guy in the hallway and I said, "Look, for me, I'd consider the 15. His brother looked at me and said, "I didn't pay you what I paid you to plead my brother guilty to 15 years in prison."
Right.
So I tried that case to a jury, and they found him not guilty. Wow. And at the end, the news media was there. And they came over to me, and the reporter asked me, he says, "How do you sleep with yourself with that guy knowing he's going to walk out of here?"
Right.
I said, "Why are you asking me that question? You need to be over there asking the police officer and that prosecutor, how did you lose this case? Like, how did you not do your job in order to convince 12 people that he was guilty?" And so really, I don't look at it upon as though it's on me. It's really upon them because they've got the burden. They've got the job.
Right.
And if you want to lock a man in a cage for 30 years, then you better do it right. And if you don't, then I'm going to beat you to death for it.
That makes sense. That makes sense. That's a good point, actually. Give it up for Travis Noble, everybody. That's a good point. You've been practicing that response, that answer for a while, haven't you?
I didn't know what question you were going to ask
this
me.
morning while he's brushing his teeth. With a brush, that's a good answer. No, I'm just playing. I'm totally playing. Give it up for Travis Noble, everybody. Me and Travis Noble are about to play a game here in a little bit. Can't wait for that.